Welcome to the Beyond the Years podcast, a podcast about all things Disney.
Welcome to episode 7. Today we are going to be counting down our top 10 favorite Pixar films. So as in our Marvel top 10, we are going to be counting down from 10, and then both of us do have separate lists because we are two individual people. So I will let Josh start off first with his number 10.
Okay, like she said, this is going to be a very interesting, because we both like a lot of the same Pixar movies. So my number 10 is A Bug's Life.
A Bug's Life. That's a great movie. It did not make my top 10.
Okay.
So what about it do you love?
Let's hear your top 10 first.
My number 10?
Yeah.
My number 10 is Inside Out.
No, that didn't make my top 10 either.
The last couple spots,
We're
like
tough.
8, 9, and 10, were really tough because, like Josh mentioned, we're going to have some honorable mentions at the end of this list, and it was just really close with those last few.
Yeah.
So, okay, A Bug's Life, great movie. One of the first, like, real Disney Pixar films from this era.
Yep. Let's see. It was made in 1998,
Mm-hmm.
and it was directed by John Lasseter, which you'll find out directed a lot of the Pixar movies throughout this list. And like, he's pretty much produced every single Pixar movie since then.
Yeah. We love Pixar.
Yeah.
And especially, it's just funny because we tend to watch the Pixar films more than any of the other just regular Disney movies. A Bug's Life is really, really great. It was one of those ones that I was kind of thinking about on the list, but it didn't quite even get close enough to get the honorable mention spot. But I will say, in Disney's Animal Kingdom, it's tough to be a bug. The Bug's Life kind of 4D interactive show, love it. It is so fantastic. I think that they need to update the screens and the animation, but that is such a great show.
Yeah, it's fun.
But I love A Bug's Life. It's good.
Yeah. I just like the characters. I thought the characters are great, and I don't know, it's just a fun movie. And I think it's one of the underrated Pixar movies because it's a little bit older. And that's kind of going to be like a running thing throughout the list for me, is the older movies don't get as much love because like the animation, I mean, it's great for the time, but the animation now is just insane.
Yeah.
But I just like the movie. It's fun to watch.
It is.
I enjoy the characters, and it's like interesting. So
yeah, it gives us a little bit of a different vibe than what we usually watch. It's always nice when you watch the same movie literally every day with a toddler, to get something different. So
yeah, and yeah, it's just a good movie. I'm not gonna say much about it. It'll be like the last time we did the Marvel list. Like, as we get further into the list, we'll get more into depth of like why we like these movies. But I was gonna say the music is also by Randy Newman, which is the guy that does all the Pixar movie practically.
Yeah.
Like the Toy Story theme and all that. So
okay.
Anyway.
So my 10, like I said, was Inside Out. Again, this was a close one. I wasn't 100% sure I wanted to put it on the list, but when I thought about the rewatchability factor, which is something that I have to consider when making a top 10 list, because if I'm going to make a top 10 list, it needs to be something that I can watch over and over. So, I really like this movie. I think the storyline is really cute. I think all of the emotion characters are really cute.
Yeah.
I love that Phyllis, I can't, and
sad. Sadness.
Yeah, Phyllis from The Office is sadness, and Mindy Kaling from The Office is disgust.
Yeah.
And I just love that. The movie does get a little bit kind of dark and depressing, which is why it wasn't further up on my list.
Yeah, Bing Bong.
When Bing Bong dies,
Sad.
I cry pretty much every time. But overall, I think the animation is great. I think the storyline is fun. It's not like the perfect storyline that I would have liked to see, would have liked to have seen in this film. I think they could have done a lot of different things with it. But overall, it's good.
Yeah, I enjoy the movie. It's a cute movie.
Yeah. Okay.
And pretty much all the voice actors in that movie are like really great.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna mention on A Bug's Life, and this will be like a running theme through all the Pixar movies. Every single one that I looked at are in the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
So A Bug's Life was 93. Inside Out is sitting at a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dang, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is Onward.
Onward is on my list too, but it's not my number 9. My number 9 is Coco.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I didn't even know that would make your list.
And again, those last few spots, it was pretty interchangeable, and it took me a while to nail it down. But you want to talk about yours first?
Yeah. So, Onward, one of the only ones that's not a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
What is it?
It's an 88%.
Oh, okay.
But still, great movie. I love Chris Pratt, and I love Tom Holland, and I thought their like chemistry through the movie was great.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like one of those Pixar movies that gets you in the feels because the dad dies, which is like a running theme in Pixar movies, I feel like now, or like a family member dies.
Yeah.
But the dad dies, and like the whole journey is trying to see the dad with magic. And then oh man, what is the main character's name? I can't even remember.
Marley is the brother, right?
Barley. Yeah. Oh yeah, Ian. Ian's Tom Holland's character.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole movie, he's trying to like, what do I want to do? He's got like a checklist of like what he wants to do with his dad.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, like he realizes like, oh, Barley was there for me the whole time as like a father figure.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes through and checks off all these lists, and it's just super sweet. And like I said, the chemistry between the actors, like you can definitely tell it's there, and it's just a fun, lighthearted, but also sad movie. It's not as sad as Inside Out, because it's like it still has like a really good like happy ending, and yeah, it's just a good movie.
Yeah. What I remember when the trailer first came out, and we were so excited because that was like peak Guardians of the Galaxy, Chris Pratt kind of coming into his own, and we were just super pumped about this. And it was different than I expected at the time, but I really love the movie.
Yeah, and it was so like whimsical.
Yeah,
because like other than like the normal Pixar movie where it's like it just every Pixar movie is different, but it was like totally different because it's like fairies and trolls and all these unicorns that are like scavenger dogs.
Yeah.
And like this, all the adult humor and Onward, there's a lot of it.
Well, Pixar just in general has a lot more adult humor, puns that your kids aren't going to quite understand. But
the parents definitely pick up on, which I think is great storytelling, or like it just shows like how good storytellers can be when like it's like, oh, a kid's not going to understand this, but a parent will.
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna mention that John Rasenberger is in every Pixar movie, and you know who he is. It's the same guy that we hear in every Pixar movie. He's Mac from Cars.
Mm-hmm.
That guy.
Okay.
I figured you'd be more excited about that.
It's bedtime. I'm excited, but it's hard to be like super enthusiastic. That's cool that he's in all of them.
Okay. So, what was your number 9?
My number 9 was Coco.
Coco.
So, I just think back to seeing the previews for this film and not really being super excited about it and kind of putting off watching it. And then when I finally did watch it, I was pretty amazed. I love the movie.
Yeah, I had to force you to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Because you were like, no, I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it. And one of my good friends, she was like, you have to watch Coco. It's so sweet. And I was like, oh, okay, we'll give it a watch. And I finally watched it by myself, and then Ashley finally watched it. And I was like, holy crap, that's such a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, good storyline. I love like the family values and just like the family history that it shows. And even though like if you've obviously seen the movie, you know what's going to happen, but that doesn't ruin it for watching the film in the future. It's still great every single time. I don't know, the animation of course is Pixar, so I love the animation.
Yeah.
I love just the whole idea behind the movie.
It got a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, so another 90s movie.
Yeah. All right. So I have a lot to say about my ones at the like top of my list. So do you want to go ahead with your number 8?
Okay. My number 8 is Soul.
Interesting. It did not make my top list. My top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not that excited to watch the film, and then when it came out, I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
I do like it though. And it could be a couple of the Pixar movies I just don't feel like I've seen enough times for them to be like a favorite. But my number 8 is Finding Nemo.
He did not make my list.
Really?
At all.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, so
Nor did Finding Dory, I should say. Neither one made my list.
Interesting. Okay, so what do you love about Soul?
After watching that movie, I remember sitting and like thinking, wow, my life sucks. No, it just like that's a movie that really puts your mind at like perspective of like the important things in life and like what you're meant to do and what you think you're meant to do kind of thing, like what your soul wants to do, but like what your body is kind of doing or what you have to do to survive.
Yeah.
Because like in the movie, he's a middle school band teacher and he like likes it and he plays in a band on the weekends, but he wants to be a full-time musician. But his mom like pretty much told him his whole life that like your father was a musician and like it was rough. He didn't make good money because he wasn't like in a big band, but he was like in a band and like he played shows like all the time. So she always preached to him, you need to find a job and you need to get like tenure pretty much. And so it's just one of those movies that makes you find your soul, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And same way with the 22 character. Like she's scared to find something because she doesn't think she can find anything until she experiences life through his body. And then she's able to find like meaning of life,
Mm-hmm.
which is just like, I don't know. That's a movie that's like super deep on like a whole nother level. And I really just enjoy that, like that whole aspect.
Okay.
Also, the movie itself is like very, I love that it's like set in New York, and it's just super pretty. Like a super pretty, realistic animated movie, which I enjoy. And I love Jamie Foxx. He's Joe Gardner in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So you get Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey as 22.
Yeah.
And she's just hilarious. So I just really like the movie. And let's see, it also got a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Pixar does really well.
Yeah. And I think that was the first Pixar movie that went straight to Disney Plus. It had a release date, but it went straight to Disney Plus as well. Because it made $121 million in theaters through its box office. But obviously, it went straight to Disney Plus. So it was really cool. So what was your number 8?
My number 8 was Finding Nemo.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I love Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo was so good. I'm really drawn to the colors in films. Because my mood is very affected by my surroundings. I've discovered about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the winter months when everything is dark and kind of sad and depressing.
Yeah.
Yep, that's how I feel. But in the spring and summer months when the sun is shining, birds are chirping, I feel much better. And so when I'm watching a movie, I prefer to watch something that's bright and colorful because it's going to elevate my mood. So, which a lot of the Pixar films have beautiful animation, vibrant colors, which I love. Finding Nemo, it's sad at the beginning, obviously, but I think it's really sweet. And I just love the whole journey that he goes on. And of course, Dory, I think she's a great character. It's just fun and lighthearted.
Yeah. And you got William Dafoe in it as Gil.
Yeah.
I love the whole tank scenes.
Yes.
All the tank scenes are hilarious.
Yes, that's probably like my favorite parts of the movie when he's in the tank with
all the other fish.
All of the other fish, yeah.
Shark bait. Hoo-ha. That movie got a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really great.
Yeah.
There is a ride at Disney's Epcot that is Finding Nemo, and it's cute. It's not like the best ride you're ever gonna.
It's a ride that you go on whenever you're hot. It's in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And it's like an AC ride.
Yeah, so Disney has a lot of like dark track rides. And this is one of those kind of track rides where it's just a continuous track and it's like at the same speed the whole time. But I find that super refreshing and relaxing. And this one incorporates like an actual tank, like fish tank, obviously, like aquarium, like grand scale. And it's a cute ride.
Yeah, and there's never a line.
Yeah.
You pretty much walk up. I mean, you might
30
wait for
minutes
like
maybe tops.
not
I've seen
even.
it get up to 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we went I think we went twice on it. And it was pretty much like we walked out, got back in line, and then went again. I think we waited 10 minutes the first time we got there.
Yeah.
But yes, that's a fun ride.
All right. What is your number 7?
My number 7 is Monsters Incorporated.
Yes. Okay. My number 7 is Finding Dory.
Oh. Get findings together, huh?
Yeah,
All right, I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
Okay. So I like Finding Dory a little bit better than Finding Nemo. I just like the storyline a little bit better. It gives us a lot of background into Dory's life. And I like
sad.
It is really sad, but it's a happy ending at the end.
Yeah.
And I love just like the friendships throughout the movie. Again, the colors, the vibrancy, love that. I think Pixar does a great job with like the humor in the films, a lot of their films. Yeah. I mean, I don't have as much to say about the ones, this far down on my list, but I don't know. I'll have more to say when we get towards the top first few.
Yeah. 94 on Rotten Tomatoes for Finding Dory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a lot of great voice actors in it. A couple from the show Modern Family. And then Idris Elba.
Man, he is in everything.
Yeah.
Is he the...
He's with the seal, one of the seals.
Right.
But yeah, great movie. I enjoy both movies a lot, but it was really hard. Like, they almost made my top 10, but there's just other movies.
I'm really curious to see what else is going to be on your top 10, because
we're very different.
You've eliminated several that I thought would be on yours. So you said your number 7
was
Monsters Inc. Okay.
96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I love it.
Yeah. Let's see. This movie came out in 2001, so I was like in first grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when this movie came out, and we went and saw this in theaters.
Did you?
Yeah.
I don't think we did.
We saw it in theaters. We saw most of the Pixar movies we actually went to see in theaters. But I do remember going to the theater and watching this movie and absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know, it was just so much fun. I love the animation in it. Like, that was one of the first like really heavy, like, where I was like, whoa, the colors in this movie are crazy.
Yeah.
And I think Monsters Inc., this was the first movie where they started, like, Pixar animation like stepped up their game.
Yeah.
Because of Sully's hair. Like, the amount of hair follicles that they put on him, it's like one of the things behind the scenes that I like to watch, and it's on the man, I'm like babbling here. It's on that DVD.
Yeah.
Where you can watch it. It's just super cool and interesting. Plus, I love John Goodman and Billy Crystal.
Absolutely. John Goodman is a classic.
Yeah. And a Missouri State University alumni. So
yeah, I actually, when he came to Missouri State several years ago, I actually got to go and listen to him talk, and it made me cry.
Yeah.
I actually cried. He is so amazing.
Yeah, he's
Love
awesome.
him.
He's a classic actor. Another funny thing, Bonnie Hunt is in this movie, and she's in a lot of Pixar movies as well. There's just so many actors that like show up, even if they have like a very minor role, they show up in a movie, in a Pixar movie. It's great. It's just one of like the Easter eggs within an Easter egg kind of thing. But yeah, I like Boo, and I love that the story is that Sully has to take care of this little kid.
Yeah.
And no one can find out about it, and it's a big deal. But yeah, it's just a good movie.
It's further down on it's like on my list. So I'll talk more about it in a minute.
Okay. Yep. So what is your number 7?
My number 7 was Finding Dory.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's hard to keep track because we're talking so much in between.
Okay. Number 6. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is Onward.
Oh, okay. My number 6 is Cars, the first one.
Cars. Oh my gosh. Cars was like the one that I kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on whether to put it on my top 10 list. And I wrote my list a couple of times. It was on my list at one point. And then I had to think about like the rewatchability thing and when I have free time or when we're going to watch a movie together as a family, what I would gravitate towards before Cars. So ultimately it didn't make my list, but it's on the honorable mentions.
Okay.
So you want to talk more about it?
Yeah. So another movie came out in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have been in like 5th or 6th grade. But another movie that we actually saw in theaters. So like for me, it's like a little bit nostalgia.
Yeah.
About these movies. And I love Owen Wilson as Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, for sure. He does such a great job.
And it's just super funny and fun. And I also enjoy, it's on my honorable mention, is Cars 2. It's like one of the least well-received Pixar movies.
Uh-huh.
But I just enjoy that movie.
It's so hard. I would need to watch all 3 again because with Grayson, sometimes we turn a movie on and we're kind of doing other things. But I feel like Cars 2 might be my favorite Cars movie.
I like, just a sidestep, Cars 2 has Michael Caine in it. The guy that played Alfred in the Nolan Batman movies.
Yes.
And I love him.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
he elevates anything he's in.
So I love him, and that's what makes me like the movie. But there are some parts in that movie that I'm like, it's a little bit boring. But anyway, Cars, the original Cars. And I just loved the animation in that movie. And it's like talking cars. So I was a kid. So it's obviously like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, why didn't anyone ever think of this before? So I just enjoy the movie. And I enjoy watching it with Grayson now.
Yeah.
And he loves all of the Mater shorts that they have on Disney Plus. And I think there's a Mater TV show coming out here at Disney Plus, I think this year, at the end of this year. So it's just one of those things that I enjoy watching it with him now, because he's not obsessed with it, but he always likes to watch Cars.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it. Okay.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said my number 6 was Onward. We talked about it already a little bit. But I think that this would be... So we talked about in a previous podcast about doing like what we would like to see out of the Disney parks.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked about doing if Disney did a Pixar park.
Mm-hmm.
I think so many of these rides these movies would translate so well into rides. And I think for Onward, we could all be in the bus in Guinevere and like flying around through like the movie scenes. I don't know. I just love the film. It's once you kind of get over the sadness factor, because it is sad at the beginning and sad at the end. The middle part is really, really great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good movie. I'm surprised it was higher on your list. I didn't think it would make your top 10 at all.
Really?
Yeah. It was something, I don't know. Every time we've watched it, I guess I don't realize how much you enjoy it.
Yeah. It's so hard. It's all of the Pixar films are so good. And honestly, it could depend on the day that you catch me making this list, what's going to be on it. I think my top 5 are pretty solid. And I don't think that they would move very much, but the bottom 5, I think depends on my mood that day. But yeah, I love the film.
Yeah.
When we were in the thick of the Toy Story obsession with Grayson, Onward was one of the films that I would turn on to get away from the Toy Story movies, because you can only watch Toy Story
2, 3, and 4.
Oh,
1,000 times.
yeah. And so Onward was, amongst pretty much any Pixar film, I would turn on instead of Toy Story to get a little bit of a break.
And he would still like go,
Yeah.
I watch Buzz. Okay. So
Number 5. What's your number 5?
my number 5 is Turning Red.
Oh. See, it's not on my top 10.
Okay.
I'm surprised it's that far up on your list.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
What's your number 5?
Monsters, Inc.
Oh.
So, what about Turning Red did you like the most? I will say it's not on my list, but the soundtrack is great.
Yeah.
And I could get down to that any day.
Yeah. Four Town.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This was tough because part of me was like, do you really like this movie? Or do you like it just because Grayson likes it?
Yeah.
And I really like this movie.
It's so hard.
I like the Asian theme.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it's a movie that's like based out of, because it's like a story about a Canadian Asian teen or a preteen, and I just really enjoy the story, and it's funny, and the panda is hilarious, and the animation is like, it's super interesting because it like walks the line of like a Pixar animation and like anime animation, and like I just think that's really unique.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
mean,
super cool.
There's a lot of really great things that came out of this film. It was definitely kind of a groundbreaking film. And I don't know. It's hard for me to put on my top 10 list because I think I'm a little burnt out on it right now, because there for a while we watched it every day.
Lot. Yeah.
And I love the movie, but I don't love it as much as some of the other ones. I don't think it's as, I can't rewatch it as often.
Yeah. No, I get that. I just think it's funny in ways that it shouldn't. Like, I guess it's because thinking back about like when we were like preteens,
Yeah.
that's how we acted.
Yeah, for sure.
And so many people were like, that's not how teenagers act. I'm like, that is like, because it's based like in the early 90s or the mid 90s.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's exactly how preteens were in the mid 90s.
Yeah, it definitely received mixed reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people had problems with like her being disobedient to her parents.
Yeah.
And
It's just so
you
stupid.
think back, like we all behaved that way.
Yeah.
And just because they portray it in a movie, I mean, doesn't mean it's going to make your kids behave that way or whatever. I don't know. People will complain about anything, so.
Yeah. I enjoy all the characters in the movie too. Like all her little group of friends.
Yeah.
Really cracks me up. And the only part I don't like is Sandra Oh as the mom.
Okay.
She kind of, at the end it's sad, but like I don't like Sandra Oh.
Okay.
So I think they could have picked a better person to do the mom's voice. But like the grandma and the aunts, like the supporting cast and the father, like
Yeah.
I love all those characters.
Yeah, I felt really bad for the mom, and that was one of the things I initially disliked about the movie, was because that big huge scene towards the end where Mei goes to the concert and her mom turns into the panda. She's really upset, and then she tries to go get Mei from the concert, and then like everybody turns on the mom, and it just makes me really sad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still love the movie, but it's just kind of, as a mom myself, like if you're trying to do what's right for your kid or what you think is right for your kid, because we all make mistakes, and certainly no one is right all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But in the movie, the mom feels like she's trying to do what's right for her kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the mom's definitely annoying in a lot of the movie.
God, yes.
But I think she is trying to do what's right for Mei. And so it's really sad to watch her basically have a meltdown and then everybody kind of turns against her.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie wraps it all up in a big happy bow, but like as a mom, that was kind of hard to watch.
Yeah. And I think the first time we watched it, or like the first time I watched it, I thought of you and your mom. And I think that's why you didn't like it at first, because it reminded you too much of like, because your mom is very like overbearing to you guys, and you guys were pretty like sheltered as like kids.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. The first time I watched this film, I watched the first 15 or 20 minutes 84 times with Grayson, and I got none of the meat of the film, and then I got some of the end. And so I'm like, oh my God, like this is so annoying. The mom is so annoying. Mei is so annoying. And I definitely think that was because I related it a lot to my own childhood. But once I watched the film start to finish and actually got to see all of the movie, I do like it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. That's why it's in my top 5. So,
okay,
what is your number 5?
Monsters, Inc.
Oh, that's right.
So,
hold on. Turning Red got a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. I forgot to say that.
I'm surprised that it rated so highly, because when it came out, which was not long ago, a lot of bad media about it.
And it went straight to Disney Plus. Another Pixar movie that went straight to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Monsters, Inc.
Monsters, Inc. Fantastic. I just love it. It's just got such great pacing.
Mm-hmm.
Such great pacing, great characters, just the right amount of comedy, kind of adult humor at some parts, like Pixar does. It's very whimsical. I love the whole idea that we're in the monsters universe instead of like the human world, and that they draw their power and their energy from human screams, but at the same time they're like terrified of humans and children. Just such a great movie.
2319.
Yes, so funny. Again, the colors, the vibrance, the animation. If you need to feel good, you can watch either of the Monsters movies.
God, it is such a funny movie.
Yeah.
And we hadn't watched it in like a long time, because we watched Monsters University a lot. And going back and watching Monsters Inc., I was like, oh man, I think I like Monsters Inc. better than Monsters University.
It's so hard making a list, because like we talked about in the last list video we did, or last list podcast, is the relevance and like how recently did you watch the film?
Mm-hmm.
And I think my list would be different had I watched one or the other more recently.
Yeah.
Just depends on the day.
Yeah. No, I understand. It's just going back and rewatching Monsters Inc. a couple weeks ago, I was like, man,
it's good.
This is such a good movie.
Yeah. Okay.
John Goodman.
Also, I have to say again, back to the Disney parks, and if they made a Pixar park, the scene where like you see where all the doors are going, like behind the scenes of like the doors being, oh my God, that would be the coolest freaking roller coaster ever.
Going to different places.
Well, just like riding on a door.
Oh, riding on a door.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Because like behind the scenes, before, like when the doors are being chosen,
mm-hmm.
it's like a roller coaster back there.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. That would be cool. That would be like a really like a Cosmic Rewind kind of ride.
Yeah.
Where they use screens and like you feel like you're about to go into a screen and it's like the next place that you're like riding through. Or...
Well, yeah. And they could do so many things with it. Like it could be like part roller coaster at the end, and then the beginning is like you're kind of riding around
mm-hmm.
Monstropolis or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even know, but they need to do this.
Yeah, and the Monsters at Work, the TV series.
Yeah.
It was super cute.
Yeah.
And it makes you want to like live in that world a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Because that followed up after Monsters Inc. So it was a good show too.
Yeah.
By the way, honorable mention.
It didn't make your top? Wait.
No, Monsters at Work.
Oh,
The TV
okay.
series.
I was like, I thought you said
that Disney
Monsters, Inc.
Plus made. Yeah. I really enjoy the Monsters world, and I think they could explore a lot more about it. Okay, so what? Let's see. Number 4. I'm gonna let you go first on this one. I'm so curious.
Number 4
is Monsters University.
No, is
Dang.
Toy Story 2.
Oh man, this is gonna be very interesting. Very interesting, folks.
What is your number 4?
My number 4 is The Incredibles, the first one.
Are you kidding? I thought that would be like your number 1.
No. Number 4.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Okay.
Okay, so
you go first this time.
Toy Story 2.
Oh god.
Hands down.
I'm not gonna say much about it because
Is it your number 1?
No, but it's in the top 3.
Hands down the best Toy Story movie.
Yep, I totally agree.
Comedy. Like, there are so many adult puns and adult humor in Toy Story 2. And, oh my God, it's just so funny. And Tim Allen is Buzz.
He is Buzz.
He is Buzz. I freaking love Tim Allen as Buzz. I just love the whole storyline of this film. It keeps you on your toes, and it's just really funny. And let me tell you, it must be pretty dang good because I'm not even being dramatic. We've probably seen it 100 times.
Yeah, 100 times.
Yeah, probably more.
100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so good. Like, I would assume most people have seen Toy Story 2, but if you haven't watched it since you were a child, you need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
It is epic.
Oh God. Yes, it is a great movie. It's so good. I'll talk more about it in a minute. Like I said. And it's crazy. It's only like an hour and 30-minute movie.
Yeah.
But it feels a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those movies that feels a lot longer, but it's not.
Probably because we watch 2, 3, 4 right together.
Oh, okay. So my number 4 is The Incredibles. And this is going to be a very reoccurring theme here because Brad Bird directed this movie. And my top 2 are both Brad Bird movies as well.
Okay.
So, man, we saw this in theaters as well. This came out in 2004. And I remember watching it the first time and absolutely loving this movie. And then I went years and years and years without watching it again. And we rewatched it, I think, before the second Incredibles came out.
Huge gap between Incredibles and Incredibles 2.
Yeah, 14 years. Huge gap.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know it. Like, they did a seamless job at just blending the two together.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's crazy looking back, like comparing the movies now. The animation has like advanced so much compared to back then, but it's still the animation back then holds up like really well.
So, quick little pause there because I once again am paranoid about Grayson, but he is still fast asleep and I'm just hearing things. But anyway, continue. The Incredibles.
Okay. So The Incredibles 14 years ago, or when we watched the second movie, it had come out like 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So rewatching it before we watched The Incredibles 2, it was like, oh my gosh, this movie is so good. The family dynamic is so fun.
Oh my gosh.
I love like all the voice actors in this movie, from Craig T. Nelson to Holly Hunter to Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, it's a world that like if I was to pick any Pixar movie to live in, I would live in this world.
And I love that it's set not in present day. It's
in the 50s.
Yeah.
50s, 60s kind of era.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so fun. And like the humor is there with the adults, like the humor's there with the kids. Man, it is just it is such a great movie, and I could literally rewatch this movie all the time.
Which we have been doing a lot lately.
Yeah,
because Grayson is obsessed
with The Incredibles right now. Incredibles 1 and 2 and the shorts. Jack Attack and Auntie Edna.
We pretty much just loop through Incredibles 1, Incredibles 2, and depending on the time situation, we'll watch some of the shorts. But we pretty much just 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, over and over and over again.
Yep.
And they're both on my top list still.
I could, like I said, because we've rewatched them so many times, like even rewatching them 1,000 times, it doesn't get old.
No, not at all.
And
our child is asleep right now, and I could go out there and watch either one of them and be totally happy.
Yeah, same. And it's hilarious because Grayson's watched him so much now. This is going to sound so bad, but he's watched him so many times, he can start quoting the movie. He was quoting the movie in the car this morning. It was freaking hilarious. But the end fight scene where they're all fighting together, like the big ball, the ball robot or whatever, and Syndrome, he's the guy that does his voice is like the perfect voice for this character.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wow, this guy's a freaking dork. But it's just like so funny. And yeah, it's just a freaking great movie. That last fight scene though is so good with Frozone, and just like the kids are like, oh, we can use our powers.
Yeah.
Let's use our powers. And Dash is just hilarious. Violet is like finally like sure of herself, and like it just builds like such a like it crescendos and like to such a great like ending. But
yeah, I'll talk about it more because it's on my list.
Okay. All right. So what is your number 4? Or did you already say it? That was
Toy Story 2.
Oh, Toy Story 2. Okay. That was I was looking at my list.
No, you're fine. What's your number 3?
Okay. My number 3 is Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have when we were making our list earlier, I started writing down like everything, especially about the first one. The first movie that I've got here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have what I wrote down just because I took all that time to write this down, and I'm going to say it.
Yeah, we both agreed that this was a podcast we wanted to record, and I mean, I thought about my list for a while, but I literally just wrote the names of the movies down. And he made his list tonight because he didn't like have time on his lunch break. And I took like an entire shower and got ready for bed. And he's like laying on the couch, and I'm like, "Are you done with your list yet?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, how many do you have?" 6 more. I'm like, what in the hell is happening right now? He's writing out the whole plot of the movie.
Because what I wanted to do with my top few, I wanted to give the synopsis, because giving the synopsis like helps me like go through the movie in my head.
Yeah.
So that's why I started doing it, and I thought like, oh well, if people are listening to this podcast and they think, wow, I don't even remember what Toy Story 2 was about, and like we're not like going through and reviewing the movie. So I was like, okay, if I give a synopsis on this movie, like they'll be like, oh, okay, I do remember that movie, and I should go rewatch that.
Yeah, but if we did that for all 10 of each of ours, we would be here for 4 hours.
I know, that's why I said I just did it on my top 3. Okay. So Toy Story 2, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Directed by John Lasseter, score by Randy Newman. Box office was $497.4 million.
Which at the time
Was huge.
freaking massive.
Yes.
Especially
this movie
for
came out on November 13th,
No way.
1999.
That's Grayson's birthday.
Yeah.
It was meant
crazy.
to be one of his favorite movies of all time.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the synopsis real quick. Woody, Tom Hanks, is stolen from his home by toy dealer Al McWiggin, leaving Buzz Lightyear, Tim Allen, and the rest of the gang to try to rescue him. But when Woody discovers that he's an actual valuable collectible from a once popular television show called Woody's Roundup, and is reunited with his horse bullseye, Jessie, the yodeling cowgirl, played by Joan Cusack, which I love,
Yeah.
and faithful sidekick Stinky Pete, the prospector, he doesn't want to leave. And the team of Buzz Lightyear, Rex, Mr. Potato Head, and Slinky Dog go find him. And, oh my gosh. Oh, man. Buzz Lightyear is my favorite character.
I love Buzz as well, but Ham,
Oh.
so funny.
Oh, yeah, he's in the rescue crew, too.
He's so good.
Yeah, I love him.
That part, like, where his cork falls out, and then all of the change comes out of him. Nobody look until I put my cork back in.
Yeah. Oh, man, it is so freaking funny. And funny story, for Halloween last year, we all went as Toy Story. I went as Ashley went as Jessie. Grayson was Buzz, obviously, and I went as Rex.
Yeah.
I got the inflatable Rex blow up costume. It was freaking great.
Yeah. I wanted to be Bo Peep,
but
I
find
procrastinated on the buying of the outfit too long.
Yeah.
So I was Jessie.
Yeah, it was so great though. Everyone loved our outfits. But oh my gosh, this movie is so fun. And we did see this movie in theaters as well. I do remember going and seeing this one specifically.
I don't remember seeing hardly anything in the theater as a child because my parents had 4 children, which is chaos.
Yeah.
And there was only 2 of you.
Yeah. But I do remember going because I would have been 6, almost 7. Or no, I would have been 7 when this came out. So, yeah. Amazing movie.
Okay.
So fun. I love the beginning when it shows Buzz, like...
Oh, my God.
Because you think it's like the beginning of the movie is like where he's flying through and like shooting all these things and he just dies. And then it's Rex playing a video game. It just cracks me up. Which, second note, the Toy Story movie, it's not a Toy Story movie. It's called Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. The animated movie that came out like following this movie.
Yeah.
Absolute classic. It's a banger. The one we got Grayson for his birthday.
I know what you're talking about. I don't agree.
Yeah, I know, because you don't like the animation.
Yeah.
It is more cartoon, but it is great. Okay.
Moving on.
You're number 3.
Monsters University.
I knew it. I knew it had to be in the top 3.
I freaking love it. Oh my God. I can't say enough good things about this film. I think this one, once again, there was quite a large gap between Monsters Inc. and Monsters University.
Yes.
Josh will fill us in.
Yep.
But the animation and the colors and the vibrancy, it just makes me so freaking happy. Nathan Fillion is in this movie as kind of like the main bad guy. The bully, which I love. I love how they had this whole storyline that came together to create the legwork for Monsters Inc. I loved all of the support characters in this film. Great humor. The squishy guy and Don Carlton sales. Freaking love him. I just art creeps me out a little bit. Just love it. And like the whole game situation, I think that is so funny.
John Krasinski's in this as well, which I didn't know until now.
Who does he voice?
Frank McKay.
Okay.
But I don't know which one that is.
It rings a bell.
But it's only an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
People did it dirty. Because this is a good freaking movie.
I think it struggled with one of the biggest things with like the Pixar sequel movies, except the one movie that we'll talk about later. But like with Cars 2, it wasn't well received.
Yeah.
And kind of the same on this. Because I think people are thinking like, oh, they're just trying to rehash old ground.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, I think that's probably why it's at 80%. But yeah, this is a great movie though. It makes my honorable mention for sure, but not my top 10. It is a funny movie though.
I'm surprised that Monsters Inc. made your top 10, but this didn't.
Like I said, I like Monsters Inc. better.
Okay. We'll move on.
Okay.
What you got?
My number 2 movie is Ratatouille.
Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. I knew this was going to be on your list. Definitely not on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I could care less about this movie.
You're wrong.
You're so wrong. It's boring.
So good.
So boring.
No, it's not. It is so much fun. This is one of my, that's why it's number 2. It's one of my favorite movies. Okay, Ratatouille. You ready for this?
Okay.
This is what I was saying earlier. 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, directed by Brad Bird. His style of movie telling, it just hits me in like a good way. So Brad Bird directed, story by John Pinkava, Jim, I'm going to butcher this, Capoblanco, and Brad Bird. Box office was $623 million with a budget of $150 million. So this movie made bank.
Mm-hmm.
Patton Oswalt as Remy. And holy moly, this is one of my favorite movies. I love the animation of this movie because it's so realistic in some of the scenes. Like if you're in the kitchen of this scene, one of the scenes, and you paused it and you didn't say like, oh, this is a Pixar movie, and you just like walked in on this pause scene, you would think it's like an actual like French kitchen.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the things I love about it is because like I love cooking. And that's probably why it hits me a little bit differently than it does you, because cooking is like one of my favorite things to do. And just the movie just makes me happy. And the music really makes me happy. It's another repeat, Michael Giacchino, which is one of my favorite artists that do scores on movies. Like he did the Doctor Strange score, and the Incredible score and this score. So I love this movie, and you over there just like judging me like this movie sucks. It's so boring.
You can, I mean, we're obviously each entitled to our own opinions. I don't hate the movie.
I think you need to rewatch the movie and watch it, and not like.
I just don't.
You gotta watch the movie.
I've seen it through, and I have seen pieces of it several times. I just don't enjoy it that much.
Oh, it's such a good movie. Okay, so yeah, there's a reason this movie is on my number 2. And this is why, because it's a great movie. So.
Okay.
Your number 2.
The Incredibles 2.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was a toss-up between the first two movies. I love both of the films, but I think I love the storyline of the first one. Not to give everything away, but I love the storyline of the first one better. Okay. But one thing that I love about this movie is Edna.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I love the whole family of supers, and I don't know. I love Elastigirl. I think it's really funny that she, gets her moment, and Mr. Incredible is having to be a dad, stay-home dad for a minute, which is really hard on him. I think that's really funny. But I love when Edna watches Jack and gets to explore his powers. And in this whole movie, we get to explore Jack's powers, which he has 17 powers. Super cute, super funny. Yeah, it's just great. Good feel-good movie.
Okay. Wow. I'm shocked.
You're shocked that the original beat the second movie?
A little bit, yeah. I would have swore that number one movie would be Incredibles 2.
Is that your number? That's your number one.
It is my number one.
And my number one is The Incredibles.
It is number one for a good reason.
Yeah.
Okay, so your number one is The Incredibles.
Yes, my number one is The Incredibles, and my number two is The Incredibles 2.
Okay. Boy. I'm so distraught. I would have swore. Okay, so whenever she was like, "Oh, we're gonna make this list," I thought it's either gonna be Monsters University as her number one movie or Incredibles 2, but not The Incredibles.
It was tough, but I will say, I loved the whole Mr. Incredible storyline in the first movie of him like being super frustrated and then finding this opportunity and then getting into shape and doing this whole training montage with, and then like the chemistry between, Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible, as he is like getting fit and healthy again and kind of finding himself, because he's lost his identity as a working parent. He's not doing what he wants to do with his life. And then again, just like them trying to protect the kids, and then the kids stowing away on the jet with their mom, and that whole scene where they're being like, they're basically being shot down.
Yeah.
It's so emotional. That scene is so emotional when she says there are children aboard, and then your heart just like drops every time. Doesn't matter how many times you've seen it.
Yeah, I get it. I tear up. It's like I tear up because I laugh. Not laugh, but like my body is like, because I'm trying not to cry, I guess. Mm. But I know exactly what you mean. Like it's like a really like.
Yeah, and then just the whole scene on the island and Syndrome, I think, is a great like anti-hero character, because he's not a real super, but he's kind of like Iron Man and Batman, that he's like got money from, Batman, not really, but Batman is rich because his family is rich. Yeah. Iron Man is rich because his family is rich, but also because he sells a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
And so Syndrome, he's a bad guy, but he's made a whole bunch of money selling his inventions, and he uses them for himself. And I just think it's really cool. I think it's crazy and dark. Like now that I'm an adult and I watch this film, I'm surprised at how dark it is that he has murdered so many superheroes.
Yeah.
And it's a kid's movie.
Yeah.
He's just murdered so many of these superheroes, and they play it off.
Terminated.
Yeah.
Terminated.
Yeah, and they play it off like it's, I mean, it's just part of the movie, but like when you're an adult, you think about that and you're like, oh my God, this is some dark shit.
Yeah. I agree. Okay.
Also, really quick.
Okay.
Love how Dash kind of comes into his own and he gets to expand upon his powers and actually use them. And then Violet really
comes out of her shell
and blooms.
Yeah.
And she saves the day several times.
Yeah.
And her powers are really great. Really cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say really great and cool. And it came out great.
Yeah. That's one of the things why I love The Incredibles is they are very based around like the Fantastic Four dynamic of like the first family.
Right.
So, and a lot of people are like, he's too old to do the movie now, but I think Brad Bird would do an amazing Fantastic Four movie for Marvel Studios. And everyone's going to say that's a very white bread, like, director to direct these movies. But it just fits so good because he's so good at the family dynamic stuff.
Yeah.
So this is why Incredibles 2 is my number one. Is I relate with Mr. Incredible in this movie so much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That it's insane. With like raising children. Like we have one child, but like as a parent now, like it just resonates with me like a whole lot more because the mom is out doing her thing and like he's stuck at home, like having to like, cause he's pretty much been away and like not out of their lives completely, but like when he worked at the insurance company in the first movie, he just going through the motions. Like, and you see it in the movie. He's just like, oh yeah, it's just another day. And then when he starts doing like hero work again, like you said, he finds himself. Well, now he's like still wanting to be that hero, but he has to be the hero to the kids.
Yeah.
So
he's got to let her have her moment.
Yeah, he's got to let Elastigirl have her moment. And what she does, and I love Helen in this movie.
Yeah, she's so cute.
Yeah. And like, oh man, like, and when she stops the train and she calls Robert and she's like, how's everything going? And he says, the strangest thing just happened in the yard. Jack. And she goes, Jack had an accident. I knew it. I'm coming home. And it's just like one of those things as a dad. It's like, you automatically think like the mom is like, oh, the dad can't do anything right. And like, I don't know, I just relate to that a little bit. Not saying that you say that, but
yeah,
it's just very relatable. And then like when she's on the phone talking to him, she's like, I stopped a runaway train, and she's like screaming, and it's like so like a happy little like girl. It's so cute. But I just really relate to Bob in this movie. And it's so funny. And the character development for like all the characters is absolutely great.
Yeah.
Like, and we get introduced to Winston. And I love him because he's just like so like, go superheroes.
Yeah.
I love superheroes.
Yeah. And I like him too.
And Screenslaver I thought was like a great villain. Yeah. Because you didn't know who it was going to be. And I like whenever the twist happened, I was like, "Oh man, how I did not even think about that."
Yeah.
Cuz that was the last person I would have thought because she was so like Team Elastigirl the whole time. And maybe I'm just like blind and didn't catch that.
Well, that was the whole point of the movie.
I know. I'm just saying like I'm sure other people would be like, "Wow, you didn't know that? It was going to be an obvious twist."
Yeah.
But I just love the movie. Yeah. Like I said, it's just more relatable to me now as a dad. And just like the Jack scenes and with Bob and like the math with Bob and when he takes them out to the happy platter and Violet like spits the water through her nose because like the little boy that she likes is there. It's just there's a lot of great funny scenes in this movie.
Oh yeah.
That I'm like, man, if that was me in like 10 years when we have a couple of kids, I would act exactly like this if it was just me and him. And since you work retail, like there, like for a little while, like it was just me and Grayson, like in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Whenever you worked a lot more closing shifts and like a lot like later evening shifts, like a lot of the times it was just me and him. So like it reminded me of those times, and like I definitely felt the vibe of this movie.
Yeah, that was like this past winter was a really tough time because you felt like you were a single parent, and I felt like I was missing everything, which I was, but there's nothing that we can do about it.
No, I know that.
Yeah,
but
it was just a tough time.
I think that's just why I relate with this movie so well now. And it's just so, it's a very bright movie, and it just me and Grayson have watched this like 1,000 times now, and like we watch it in the car on the way to school. Some mornings we don't watch it. I don't have him watch it every morning, but like some mornings when he's a little like cranky, I will turn the iPad on in the car. Don't judge us.
Oh, we're whatever. We're good parents. Our kid is a very well-rounded little man. He's incredibly intelligent, just funny, smart, witty. He is and kind and generous. He is all things good. So we're doing the best we can. But yeah, he watches TV sometimes.
And
anyway,
if it's the heroes. It's not Incredibles.
He calls them the heroes.
He calls them the heroes. I want to watch the heroes.
I watch heroes. So there are so many good scenes in this film that I love, but like I don't enjoy the screenslaver parts as much. Like with Elastigirl and Screenslaver, like that's not my favorite parts of this movie. I love the parts with Bob and the kids in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the movie, but I think that's why I kind of tipped the edge to the first movie more.
I gotcha. My least favorite part is actually whenever she wakes up and she's like tied down in that frozen room.
Yeah.
Where she tries to move.
Yeah.
From like that part to where they're on the boat.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that. Like that whole like there's like a 5 or 7 minute like stretch of scene right there.
Yeah.
That I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, same.
But after that, I enjoy the movie.
I agree.
I enjoy the last part where they like, oh, Jack uses his powers and takes the glasses off of the mom.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say Craig T. Nelson as Mr. Fantastic. Like every time he talks,
Incredible.
Or yeah, Mr. Incredible. Every time he talks, I'm just like, God, like they just such the perfect voice casting.
Oh yeah,
for the character
for sure.
And the same way with Helen.
Yeah.
Holly Hunter.
Yeah.
I love her, and we get like more Frozone in this movie, which I love.
I love Frozone. He is so funny. I love when he comes to visit Bob, and he is just completely in shock at the state of Bob and then Jack.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious because that is like real life.
Yeah. When is the last time you sleep? Last time you slept? Who keeps track of that? And
awesome.
There's so many times whenever they, like, obviously Samuel L. Jackson, like, his catchphrase is like, motherfucker. Yeah. So every time you get like a what the and it like cuts, but he always says what the, and you hear like the F syllable.
Yeah.
And then they cut real quick to like to the next scene or whatever. But it's just one of those things that I think is hilarious that, like, even though it's a Pixar movie, they still let Samuel L. Jackson kind of play like along with that. Like, that's his favorite thing to say. And he says it in like all the movies. So,
okay.
But yeah, we're an hour and 15 minutes into this podcast.
Yes. So we do need to wrap it up. So that was our top 10
Pixar.
Let's do a quick couple of honorable mentions.
Oh man, I got some good ones. A couple that some people won't like, and then I'm gonna talk about some animated shorts. Go, you first. I'll want all your honorable mentions, and then I'll do all mine.
Okay, that's really challenging. So, I would say that Brave was one of mine. I think
that's a movie we've hardly seen.
Yes, and I know. And I think that if we have seen this movie more, it came out 10 years ago, by the way, which is shocking. Because I remember when it came out, it was like a big deal because she was Irish.
Yeah.
And it was different because she didn't have like a romantic storyline. But anyway, I've only seen this one maybe 3 times. And I feel like if we had seen it more times, or if we do watch it more, I feel like it would go up on my list. So Brave is definitely on there. Cars, I'm going to lump all 3 of them in one, even though they're very different movies. But I would say that they were all 3 close to being on my top list. And I would happily watch any of them at any time. Turning Red, it was on your top 10 list. It was an honorable mention for me. Really like that movie. I would say those are really my only honorable mentions. Up, I don't really love.
Okay.
Don't really care about it. I think Doug is annoying. The dog. I do not enjoy I do not enjoy the Doug shorts.
The Doug Days?
Yeah.
You don't like those? Oh my gosh, I love the...
I can stand them, but I don't enjoy it.
Oh, I love them. That's the difference between me and Ashley.
Yeah, we're very different people. Up was not even close. Soul, you talked about that one. Wall-E, I don't think I've
underrated.
I don't think I've seen it all the way through, which is crazy.
Sad and great. It made my honorable mention and it's a toss up between 2 movies for me for number 11.
Okay.
It would either be Wall-E or The Good Dinosaur.
I don't really like The Good Dinosaur.
I know.
Okay, go ahead.
So like I just said, not Up. What was it? Wall-E. Wall-E and The Good Dinosaur are like top competitors for the number 11 spot for me. The Good Dinosaur is just sad and like fun and funny, but like it hits you in the feels. Like I cry probably, or I like tear up every time I watch that movie. And Wall-E is just a great movie and it's so funny. And Grayson, when we watched it the first time, he really enjoyed it because he kept calling it Little Robot.
Yeah.
The little robot, Dad. I'm like, yeah, he's cute, isn't he? Honorable mention, Toy Story 3.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4. I'm sorry. Love them.
I'm surprised Toy Story 4 didn't make your top 10 because that's like, you talk about that movie all the time.
I've seen it too many dang times. I think Toy Story 2 will stand the test of time.
Yeah.
But Toy Story 3 and 4 are really, really great films. But once you watch them 75 times in 75 days, you kind of get burnt out.
I get it.
But they honorable mention for sure.
Also, my honorable mention, like the least well-received movie, Cars 2.
Okay.
I enjoy that movie a lot. And then also Monsters University is in there as well. Because I love that movie. It is a great movie, but it's just not in my top 10. And I'm going to talk about animated shorts because I love animated shorts. Especially the Pixar because they test like the waters on animation.
We could do an entire podcast about our favorite animated shorts.
I know. I'm just going to talk about like the big ones.
Okay.
The Doug Days. I absolutely love Doug Days. It is hilarious. and you're just like annoying. And Grayson loves him, and I think that's why I love him even more, because he gets such a kick out of the dog, and like I think he's hilarious too.
I liked them the first 3 times we watched them, and then after that I'm like, okay, I would rather watch the Toy Story shorts.
Yeah, I get it. And the Toy Story shorts are like
amazing.
We'll talk about, I think we need to do like a shorts episode, like you said.
I agree.
But and also another quick one, Piper. The one with the little bird. I love that one. It's so cute, and like the animation in that movie in that short is so realistic. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. And that's why it's one of my favorites, is just because of the animation.
Okay.
Anywho, so yeah, that's my honorable mention in animated shorts. But I don't know, the Toy Story shorts, like, are they really shorts? Because they're like 23 minutes long.
Well, it just depends on it. That one in particular is long.
Yeah.
It's like
the dinosaur one.
Yeah. That was
and that one and the Halloween one.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my goodness, the Toy Story. I love Toy Story. But I think I like the shorts more than I do the movies.
Yeah.
On the at least 3 and 4, I like the shorts more.
If we watch Toy Story anything right now, we watch a short.
Yeah.
Because we spent 2 years
practically
watching Toy Story 2, 3, and 4 on a daily. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm glad we've moved on to The Incredibles.
Oh. Biggest honorable mention, that's probably going to be like in my top 10 whenever it comes out. Lightyear.
Well, yeah.
Because it comes out June 17th.
That's going to be Grayson's first theater experience.
Yes.
We are freaking pumped.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do a podcast about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I wanted to put that in honorable mentions because I was like, when this movie comes out, it will be in my top 10. Like, there's no doubt about that. And I don't know if it'll be my number 1, because it is going to be really hard for a Pixar movie to beat The Incredibles, in my opinion.
Agree.
So, anyway, we will do a podcast for sure on Lightyear when it comes out, because it looks amazing.
Yes. Okay.
And yeah. Anything else? Any closing thoughts?
No, this was a really long podcast, a lot longer than I expected it to be. If you are still here, thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. We continue to be very enthusiastic about this podcast. We're excited about the possibilities. We have quite a few podcasts planned coming up, so we're excited about those.
A little bit more Disney park related this time coming up.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of things planned, but it would help us out if you give us a rating on whatever platform you are listening and share with your friends. And we just appreciate you guys. We hope you enjoy the podcast as much as we do, and we'll talk to you in the next one.
All right, see you guys later.